Bigfoot are more than just animals like the media will have you believe. They're intelligent creatures. Native Americans have known this for a long time. We used to live with them. Tonight, my guest is Mel Scahan, who's from his tribe. He's heard stories of the Sasquatch, and he's had personal encounters, which proves that they're more than just animals. Enjoy. What is your tribal knowledge of the Sasquatch say about them? Does it say they're like animals or more like humans?
No, they're people. They say that before the during the early years, we all had lived together. And then when the encroachment happened over here towards the west and new things, shiny things, and, more people started showing up this way, there was a talk amongst the big people, the little people, and the Yakimas. And the big people and little people said, no, we're not going down there. We're going to stay where we're at. And if you want to go down there, and mingle or mix with them, once you go down there, you can't come back. We won't allow you to come back. And that's basically the kind of stories that have been passed down to us about how we used to live with them.
Weird. I wonder why they didn't want to have any part of Western culture.
Yeah, they were a lot wiser than us, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's for damn sure. All the horrors that happened since.
Yep.
They probably had some kind of shamanistic or supernatural foresight to see what was going to happen and didn't want to be part of it. Imagine what would have happened. Imagine what would have happened if, how the Westerners treated Native Americans. How would they treat a non-human like a little person or a Bigfoot? How would they treat them?
Yeah, and that's been the discussion about are we about discovery? Do we really want to expose them to this? Do you want to see one in a zoo? Do you want to see one, put in a museum? After it's been autopsied and cut up and explored and experimented. I mean, no, that is, we've already seen that happen.
That's murder.
We've seen it plenty of times already, and we don't need to see it again.
The only reason why I would want to meet them personally is just to learn their history or learn more about them, just to hear their history or something, what they know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just people who's like, well, how do they know? Why can they do this? And you've just lost your ways. That's all it is. And there's no, you put yourself out there, you may survive, a winter, a summer, but you're going to succumb to your injuries when you do hurt yourself because you don't have the help of the modern medicines that you've have lived on up to that point.
So these things are definitely, in your eyes and my eyes, they're definitely people with souls.
Yes.
You've had experiences with a medicine man and the Bigfoot communicated or something through him. Could you tell me a little about that story? Because the reason why I want you to tell it is because it kind of proves that they have a soul. You know what I mean? They're spiritual. They have spiritual aspect to them.
Right. Yeah. And I've had friends who've shared communication with them, and not mentally. I have a friend who she says that it tried to draw her out of her tent late at night, and she had 3 other people sleeping in her tent, and everything was focused on her. And she says, as they're talking back and forth, he wants her to come out alone. And just trust me, I ain't going to do anything to you, as it told her. And then she was scared. She didn't want to get out. She goes, I'm just going to wake up my friend, and we'll both come out. And he says, no, that's not going to happen. Just you can come out here by yourself. Nothing's going to happen. And so to end the conversation, because she had to go potty, she goes, I have to go potty. and I'm going to wake my friend up. Who's she going to come with me? And then that's when the communication stopped.
So was it telepathic or?
Yeah, yes, it was telepathic.
Wow, that's interesting. I never heard that they can communicate telepathically.
Yeah, there have been a few stories that I've collected where they have done that.
I've heard of little people doing the same, so I'm not surprised. I know humans could at one point too.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and yeah. My mom told me a story a long time ago when she was a kid, and she had gone out with her mom to visit her grandmother and great grandmother, and no electricity. Sitting in the chairs in their little 1-room, 2-room little homes, and working on basket weaving or working on something. And when she walked into the house, the two ladies were in rocking chairs, and they were working with their hands on baskets or weaving or knitting. And she came in, and they were rocking and working, and she went outside and played, and then she came back in, and they were still doing that. And she said that she sat there for a little bit, and they just rocked back and forth, and one would just laugh. One of the ladies out of the two would just laugh, and then she couldn't figure out why she was laughing because nothing was being said. And then after a little bit, then the other one would laugh, and so on and so on. So she thought that's how our people used to communicate or be able to sense each other's thoughts back then too, early on.
It's like medicine man or shaman stuff, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I always enjoyed that story when she told me, and so the shaman thing, I came. There was trouble at the house, and we brought in the Shaker religion, and then when we brought longhouse people come over to do prayers and everything, and try to drive out the spirit that seemed to be affecting the house. In multiple visits, and it didn't, they were able to calm the situation down, but it never really settled the whole thing. One of the kids was under watch most of the time for the way that she was thinking was she was cutting herself. She was thinking suicide, and whatever was in the house was controlling her at night when she was alone, or when she was in her room doing her homework or whatever. She just didn't feel right. And when those two did not work out, and they called in a medicine man in from Oklahoma, a really powerful guy that worked on some different places on the Yakima reservation and over on the Nez Perce reservation in Idaho. And he had certain requirements that the house had to be totally blacked out. Windows, so no light can get in, and the electricity had to be shut off at the breaker box, so the spirits couldn't gather power from the electricity in the house, and so all the power had to be cut. And there was about 25 people invited, and the family, the shaman family, the male who was the leader, and then his wife was there, and then his daughter was in the group with us. Told us that whoever is afraid of the dark and any children that are in the house have to leave now, because what you're going to experience here is you're gonna have. What we're trying to do here is that we're not going to try to drive this spirit out of the house. We want to gently have it coaxed out, and by inviting the spirits outside this house that walk at night, come in and see if they can assist this spirit out into the world and away from this home. So you're going to hear voices from the past, whether it be a spouse, a family member, a friend, or animals. You're going to hear a lot of different things. They're going to touch you. They're going to whisper in your ear. They may move around you, dance around you, but that is why we don't want anybody here that's afraid of the dark. And so we're sitting cross-legged on the floor, all of us, and we're right next to each other. And if you lifted your elbows, you hit the next person next to you on your left or to your right. In the center, there were gifts for the guests that were witness that you would hand them for coming to your house cleansing or to your event here. And then there was food set out too for the guests and for the family that was visiting the medicine people. So after everybody had been talked to, then everything was cut out. All the electricity was cut out. Let the lights fade out. Everybody's sitting on the floor, quiet, waiting, and then he started with the first song, and started with the second song, and then that's when things started happening. That's when the person right next to me started telling me, "Why are you squeezing my hand?" And I was like, "I'm not squeezing your hand. I have my hands folded right here in front of me." And so as the song is going on, you start hearing all this whispering and this talking going on from around the room at different levels, from above, from in front of you, from the sides of you. And then when he got into the next song, something was vibrating the floor. And I don't know how this was done, but the floor started vibrating, and it was this and it was centered in the center of the room, and then it spread out like in a shock wave, and then worked its way out. You know, like when you throw a pebble in the water, you see the wave, the shock wave extend out. And so that's exactly how this, how I can describe it. And then it went under us, and so it started vibrating, shaking under us, and then it went into the walls. And then when it got into the walls behind us, because I was up against the wall, like leaned over to my left, and I go, "Do you feel that?" I go, "These walls really vibrating, shaking?" And I was told yes, and I was like, "Wow." And then it just started off at the floor level, and then started working its way up to the ceiling, and then got into the ceiling, and then it stopped, and it was over with. And then the next song came up, and then the chanting started. Really loud, screaming type chanting started going on. And then something was dancing in the middle of the floor. And I gotta remind you that it's pitch black. You've got food, you've got gifts that took up most of the floor, and then on the outer edges of that all is, 25 to 30 some odd people sitting around in this living room. So how can something be dancing on the floor and actually shaking the floor without messing everything up in the center? And then it jumped, and it jumped, and it jumped, and then it chanted and jumped and chanted, and it was like, I don't know how much more someone could take of this. And it was interesting because you could hear people off to the sides of you just whispering to each other, trying to figure out what's going on. And then during that song, I heard back in the hallway something go, "Whoa!" And I thought to myself, I know that sound. I've heard that sound before. And I hear, "Whoa!" And then in my head, I said, "If you are who I think you are, you'll whoop for me." And then as soon as I said that, I heard, "Whoop, whoop." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then it came to me, this, you had asked me earlier about chanting or talking or anything like that, and that's the only thing I can describe this as this started coming towards me as this, and the song was over, got into the next song, and then everything started to calm down. And after that song, the lights were turned on, and then everybody started talking amongst themselves about the different types of experiences that you could hear Person next to me had somebody grabbing and squeezing their hands. Also had somebody whispering in their left ear. Person next to her had heard this, a dead or passed on relative talking to her, and so on and so on. You could hear everybody talking. But me, I didn't have that. I had something come to me that I've had experiences with and knew exactly who it was or what it was. And when he started going around the room telling different people of who had come to visit them, then he got to me, and then he goes, you I need to talk to, because what you're doing now could harm your family. And so he took me aside, or he was talking to me there, and he goes, you have something, this thing that came to you, you have something that it wants. You do something that it doesn't like, and you have something that could prove its existence or that it's alive. And then somebody off to my left side that was part of the witnessing group, not the shaman family, yelled out, "He's got hair!" And I had to think back to, I've collected a lot of different things out in the woods, and I thought, I do have hair, but I didn't realize that, it could have been bear hair, it could have been deer hair, it could have been, something along that lines. But, people in the real world, in the scientific world, have to send hair off to be examined. It's got to fit a certain profile for them to believe that this is from an unknown, never previously recorded animal or person, or whatever they want to put that label on. I didn't have to do that. This guy that was in this man that was invited told me that I had something that could prove something's existence. And so after meeting with him privately, because he did not want to let everybody else know what I had to do, he told me that this is, after I give you these instructions, and after what I've told you about how you've been chasing after or hunting or running after, or however you want to put it, after I tell you this, and after every word that I've spoken to you, says you're no longer going to be ignorant to who they are. You are going to know who they are. And anything that you continue after this, the collection, the chasing, it doesn't affect you anymore. It's going to extend out, and it's going to hurt. They're going to possibly go out to your kids or to your grandkids or to, and so I listened to them, and because that experience was really, really, really frightening. And then listening to everything up to that point come to me that I'm doing harm to somebody. So he gave me the instructions on what I needed to do for me and for whoever I had collected something from, to right our ways so that we can exist, and they could be satisfied that nobody has anything that would expose them, and then that I have the in me to free not only myself, but not cause harm between any of us. So it took about almost a month before I was able to gather everything. And I made a phone call, said, I need to go do something. I can't tell you what, but I should be back within a couple of hours. So I took off. I went to the woods, went to the place that I collected these hairs, and did everything that I had to hike about a quarter mile down away from the main road to get to this spot. And when I got there, I laid everything out, did everything that I was supposed to do, said a prayer after that, and then asked that I was supposed to ask it if everything was okay. And then when I got to that point and was ready to go, I had asked if everything was fine, if do I need to do anything else. And then down below me, about over a third, maybe half a mile away, something went, whoa! And I put my hand up in the air and I said, well, I said to myself, I don't know if that's good or bad, but I put my hand up, waved in the four directions, packed up my stuff, and then got to my car and left the area.
Wow.
And so after that, that's when I changed everything that I've done.
So that really changed your perspective of how to respect and treat Bigfoot.
Yes. Yep. And I mean, even when you're told by an elder not to do anything in the woods, you got to listen to them. I mean, anybody. Yeah. And a rock, a stick, or anything, an arrowhead, whatever, something that from the past, you leave it there. You don't pick it up. And so that's been my mindset ever since.
Dang, that to me that proves that they have they have a soul. They're intelligent beings and they deserve respect just like any other person would. So it's definitely it's definitely in their best interest to, at least while humanity's not mature enough to be able to approach them in a peaceful way, like if we're going to be dissecting them or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of people don't have that open mind to listen to the legends. The legends are there for a reason. They're stories that have come from actual people that are trying to tell you something, trying to help you.
And a lot of it, I think, has to do with just the winners or the victors are the ones with the history written. And Native American people, our culture was dominated by the Western culture. Mm-hmm. And our stories and our history and our knowledge isn't really shared. So if people knew more about what the Native people knew about these things, we'd probably approach them a lot differently. Because in almost every Bigfoot show that I watch, people act like Bigfoot are huge gorillas and they're dangerous and all this stuff.
Yeah. And those are the people that I used to be out with. Those people right there. The goal. I mean, the ultimate goal for these people now is to get their name out there so that they can make money out of this whole thing. And that's all it's about. And I've had my opportunities to do shows and bigger things other than, talks around the reservation and everything. But I'm glad I never did a lot of it, 99% of it, because I would have been just like them.
My goal with this show about Native mythology and stuff like this, I want people to know the Native perspective and that we know about these things, that they deserve respect and that we can't be treating them like animals or like something to hunt. You know what I mean? Because we made that mistake with cultures time and time again, like new encounters with cultures, and we can't repeat those mistakes with these people. Yep,
I agree. And it's gonna, unless they have an experience or think that they're being scammed or shammed somehow, that this is, somebody sent sentries out to shake the walls. And this is what I've gotten to some people that when I tell this story to them, and it was like, no, he set this up ahead of time. And I was like, you know what? I live in that house. They were there. So, I mean, there's always an excuse from somebody about how things were done.
Yeah, I think
guys
people just
something, or you guys.
People just need to be educated. Like that's my goal here, just to educate people about stuff like this, like what we know,
Mm-hmm.
Because even the Inupiaq people, or Eskimo, as most people call us, we got stories of the hairy man and little people and giants, and they're people just like us with souls, and we used to live together, just like what you're saying.
Yep, and like I said, it's that hands-on experience that one has to have, and I knew it was there. I would hear other people talk about it, but when you actually experience it. It's like getting in a car accident. You look at life a different way.
Seeing is
You
believing.
know how short it is. And so that changes you right there. And that's exactly what had happened to me. It changed me.
Yeah, I understand that. I've had strange experiences too that changed my perspective. What are some of the Yakima native stories that you guys have about Bigfoot? What do they tell you in the stories?
They tell us about the movement and with the foods. I'm sure that in any culture that you have different medicines and native foods that your people have lived on that come in season during certain parts of the year. The salmon runs, the migration of birds, anything that we have survived on over the years. We know patterns, we know the times of years that they're going to be around and in season, and so that's what the Yakimas believe, is that, like us, we move when the salmon down along the Columbia River. We migrate down to the Columbia River to gather the foods to get ready for winter. We go up in the hills when the roots and the berries are ready, and we prepare for our winter solitude. And so every day of our life, way back when, was about survival, and everything had a purpose. And so that's the same law that they live by these days, and that's how we believe that they're living that way, and that's how they're living. And when you're fishing along the Columbia, or fishing in a lake, or gathering roots or gathering berries, and you come across a Bigfoot track, or you hear the vocalizations, or you smell them, you're there too early, or this is their area, and then you stop your gathering, you turn over what you have, or leave what you've already collected right there on the ground, and let them have it, because that's their life.
Oh, that's cool. That's a good thing to do for them. Just leave it to them. That's what we're expected to do, though, right? People.
Yep.
Okay, so anyone out there listening, if you are fishing and you hear a yell or something, just leave your stuff there for the Sasquatch if you want to stay in friendly terms with them.
Yep.
And the Yakima people used to live with the Sasquatch or trade with them, or what?
I used to live with them. Lived right alongside with them, gathered foods with them, and
Has there ever been stories of like half human, half Sasquatch children or marriages between humans?
No, I've never heard anything like that. No. I mean, in books, if you do your research on this, you hear something called the wild boy. There have been, they could have been doctored photos of. I've seen one where somebody had a rope around the neck of a supposed Sasquatch, but it didn't look anything like a Sasquatch. It was like a mask. So, and there have been stories of people that have been dragged off out of their camping areas, but I have yet to, in modern times, to hear anybody say anything about that. But these were all stories from the 50s on earlier.
How do you, in your opinion, how should people approach Sasquatch? How should they, should they respect them? What should they do?
Well, the only, I shared it. If you're out collecting, leave what you've collected for them, because it's theirs. You don't want anybody coming in here into your house and raiding your kitchen. So it's the same thing. You don't want to go and raiding their kitchen, their food supply. Camping, if they're there, just for protection of yourself, just have a light. Have lights ready, flashlights, spotlights, whatever. Just turn them on. Don't flash them with it, because plenty of experiences where they've put spotlights or headlights on them, and they became aggressive after that. They did return. So I guess it just depends on their mood. So it's hard telling what you at the time is pure, or if you're actually out there looking for them, just be careful on it.
And do you think people should try to film them, or should we leave them alone, or what?
My lesson up to now is leave them alone. Just admire it. They'll take in the information that you want about why you're there. If you're out there looking for them or want that experience, just sit there, just lie there, or and let them come around. If they want to make contact with you, they will. If they're watching you, they're going to continue to watch you. But just be respectful that you're in their home, and you don't go around, peering around or doing anything like that. You wouldn't like that at them or anybody else coming into your home and taking it over. And that's the same respect that you have to do with them, is that you're in their home and you have to respect who they are and what they are.
We were talking before this interview about how your niece Samantha has paranormal abilities to like speak to the dead or see spirits and stuff like that. Have you ever heard of anybody being able to telepathically communicate with Sasquatch? Because earlier you told me a story about your friend that was able to telepathically communicate with them. So I was wondering if someone who was clairvoyant or had that gift would be able to speak to them as well.
A couple years ago, we did an outing, a paranormal outing, where we brought some mediums from the Portland, Oregon area, and they wanted to be able to communicate with Sasquatch. And so I wanted to take Samantha along so that she could learn from them or talk to them and communicate with them to see how she could understand and let it flow to the point where it's not a curse but a gift. And so they talked to her. They told her the type of ability that she has, and that it's not going to go any further. She's not going to be able to predict, or she's not going to be able to, do a lot of other things that some of the sensitive or mediums can do. And they're glad that the work that we've done to assist other people with things of the helping nature.
So she can talk to Sasquatch with her power or ability?
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. She has communicated with them, and she kind of let me in on it about 6 years ago when she went berry picking, and then she come back down after her berry picking experiences and said, "Uncle, they know you're looking for them, and they know when you go to the woods."
Hey Mel, I got an idea.
Yeah.
How about we think of some questions about what we'd want to know about them, like their history or why they don't want to be found or why they don't want to be bothered or something, and have her be able to communicate with them and hear what they have to say. That'd be really interesting, don't you think?
Yeah, that would, I could possibly do that, and I know she was part of a berry picking longhouse group and over the years, and so she's had communication with them.
Yeah, because
we could do that.
If we have an outlet to communicate with them peacefully, then we could ask them questions that are, not to try to discover them or where they live or whatever, but just about who they are or what they're like or whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like some of their history, why they avoid Western civilization, stuff like that. Interesting stuff like that. And I wonder if she could also communicate with little people if they do the same type of communication telepathically or not.
Yeah, I had mentioned that to you about Mary Lee.
Yeah.
The one that, but she knows somebody that can sense and talk to the little people. So you may want to get with her again and
wow,
and who that person is.
All right,
'Cause
yeah.
Marilee and I went out on a berry picking expedition, and she took them back up because she was looking for new areas. And then the guy that the guy that knows about him told her, he goes, "You've been here already, haven't you?" And she goes, "Yeah." He goes, "They have your hair, and they know who you are."
Wow. Yeah, just imagine, like, if we can open a line of communication with them and find out, like, just kind of figure out why we should leave them alone, like, give some reasons so it's not just, like, complete ignorance of what they're all about, you know what I mean? I think it would be good. I think it would be good for just to know that and for people to know why they want to be left alone. Like,
Yeah.
like why we should respect them and stuff like that. And also I wanted to comment, have you ever thought of the medicine man who came to your house? Have you ever thought of getting your niece to be trained under a medicine man to help her cope with her abilities?
I think she's fine now after talking to these mediums. I mean, even though they were white, she came to the understanding on how to better understand who she is and what they want, and then how to tell them no, because that's why they kept coming around her. It's because she couldn't tell them no, but now she can talk to them and say, well, not now, maybe later. So she's learned through them how to deal with a lot of her situation now.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really excited.
And that was my goal for taking her over there, was to help her with that.
Man, imagine having a communication line with someone who can actually communicate with them. That'd be really interesting.
Yeah, and the mediums that were out there were able to communicate with them as well. They were one William Becker was his name, and he said he became interested in, because when he was traveling across the United States over the forested areas, he could pick up voices. He could pick up really weird type voices out in the forest of the United States, and didn't know what it was. And so that was one of the reasons why he wanted to. That's why he contacted the Bigfoot group to take him out, so that he can have a one-on-one with them, so that he could separate them from all the other things that he was coming across.
So when he communicates with them telepathically, they even sound weird in his head?
Yes. Yep.
What did he describe them sounding like? Do you know?
Not really. They were just mainly they're talking to him in the English language, but no accent or not none of this or anything like that.
Well,
so now he says, and I haven't talked to him in a while, and the whole reason that he wanted to do this is that now he doesn't need to go out to the woods anymore. He's located an individual, and then from home, if he wanted to, he can tune in, as he said, to this individual out here to see if it wants to talk or if it has anything to say.
So could I make a list of things that I'm dying to know for her to try to communicate with the Sasquatch to figure out? I want to see what they say. Like I want to know, like, are they people of the flesh? Are they partly spirit? Are they of this world? Stuff like, because I hear so many weird stories about them, like disappearing and this and that, and UFO, blah, blah, blah. If we can get to the direct source and actually ask them instead of wondering, we could potentially learn some interesting things and learn why we should respect them and leave them be. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So does that sound fun to you? Sound fun?
Yep. That sounds okay. I'll ask her.
All right, Mel. That sounds like a really interesting experiment to do. So if any of the listeners out there want to contribute and ask some questions that she can ask the Sasquatch next time she's out there, put them in the comments below, and we'll coordinate a list of questions to have her ask next time she's out there. We're not sure if this will work or not, but there's only one way to find out. So this should be a lot of fun, Mel. Yeah, man, it's really interesting. You guys have someone who can communicate with Sasquatch, and earlier you're telling me someone who can communicate with little people. And that's just in one tribe. The wealth of knowledge and the history, like what you guys know about these things compared to all the researchers ever, all the Western people who are trying to figure it out in the wrong way, is a completely new aspect that no one's even looking at because the lack of respect for Native American knowledge. And this is it. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm really interested in. So, sounds awesome, man. Like,
Yeah,
I'm excited I'm excited about hearing questions that we can get answered potentially, like about their history or who they are. You know what I mean? That'd be awesome.
Right. Yeah.
Damn, this is exciting. I'm like pumped now. You got an interesting niece, and if she's interested in talking, that'd be cool too. If she wants to be on, like, it could be over the phone or whatever. It would be cool to hear her descriptions of what the things look like and what they sound like, and just to give people an idea what it's like to have that ability.
Okay. Yeah, I will have a talk with her, and sure she would. I mean, I've taken her out to a couple of different things, and she's had no problem with it.
Damn, that's awesome, man. That's so cool. My first interview ever, too, by the way.
Oh, well.
Yeah, man.
Glad you didn't have to get a coffee in there.
Oh, yeah.
Boy.
Oh, this was great, dude. I really appreciate it. This is awesome. Do you have anything more you want to add about I think we should set up questions, and we do our own little investigation, and we do the results and do another show on that, or another episode. That'd be awesome.
I mean, if you want to gather, if the people are listening, and then contact you and have questions of their own, I'm more than glad to keep going.
All right, yeah. Unless I'll try to get in touch with the little person communicator. It looks like the Yakima tribe knows a lot more than I know.
Yep.
It's like that, like in Alaska. It's what I realized. Like every single tribe, every village has unique information, and they know something that nobody else has heard or known about these things. And they're all stuck in their, like, the knowledge is not like well known. It's stuck in these little tiny areas. So it's good to make it part of our history and part of our knowledge instead of keeping it so isolated. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
Right, man.
Yeah, okay.
That was a great talk. I liked it. It was fun.
Alrighty, well, I'll let you go over everything that you have there. There's a lot, and glad you called, and like I said, I'm willing to work with you some more.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, it would be fun. Appreciate it, Mal.
Thank you.
See ya.
Good night.
Bye. In this experiment, we're going to use a girl with clairvoyant abilities to speak with Sasquatch, and we're going to have her communicate with them our questions. So if you guys have any questions, be sure to ask in the comments below or email xenohuntersinfo@gmail.com. You can also hit us up on Facebook. Just search up Xenohunters on it. This experiment, if it actually works, we can actually figure out some stuff that we never knew about Sasquatch, which will be really interesting. Hey, thank you for watching. Be sure to stick around for more episodes, and don't forget to like and subscribe.